all good things must come to an end, and after the defeat by 8 goals to Bayern Munich, it's more clear than ever that Barcelona is approaching the end of an era. What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here, and welcome back to another episode of Transfer Watch here on the channel. Today we got a very special one because there's a very big report coming from Sport and Mundo Deportivo, and you know when those two speak the very same thing, it mostly is reliable, and that is that Barcelona are ready to sell 10 of their players, and if no offer arrives, then they are ready to terminate their contracts. The average age of the team that Barcelona put out in the quarterfinals against Bayern Munich was of 29.9. That is nowhere nearly enough to where they have to be, or well, young enough to be competitive at this level. That is absolutely embarrassing. It means that absolutely no plan was put into place, and why Barcelona are suffering so much on the pitch, why it looks so sluggish, so slow. To make matters even worse is that we have to take into account that Barcelona is a team that is paying the highest wage bill. So in other words, Barcelona is basically paying for a lot for absolutely nothing. What is good though, and is a breath of fresh air, is that Piqué came out after the game against Bayern Munich and did a very unique post-match interview where he talked about that absolutely no one is untouchable, and I agree with him on that, and more importantly that he is ready to depart the club if we need to see fresh new blood. And Piqué, let me tell you, I agree with you on that as well. I think it's time to pack your bags and leave. When someone of the level of Gerard Piqué speaks, you need to listen. Even though perhaps his status is not reflected on the way that he plays on the field, he's a guy that ultimately has the best interest of Barcelona at heart. And there are these sort of guys, these sort of footballers that understand really what is through and through to be a Barcelona player. They really do know what's going on, and they do know what needs to be fixing because they've been there when it's good. So of course they know when it's bad. In this state of emergency that Barcelona is currently going under, there are 3 steps that we need to carry out at least to get back on track. And it all starts with the appointment of a new manager. As we know, Quique Setien's time is running out at Barcelona, and we're going to be discussing this on the next video, so I got you covered. But the next step is of course to call early elections, and apparently they look as early as January. And the final step is what we're discussing in this video, and that is getting rid of the old players and getting some new fresh blood. Currently in the squad, there are 4 players which are untouchable. 4 players that are going to be guaranteed to be here the next season. They include Marc Ter Stegen, our goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and even though he had a bad performance against Bayern Munich, he has all my support to continue because he's captain material. Then we have Clement Lenglet, our center back. He's good, he's reliable, he's consistent. He might not be the guy to lead the front line for the future, but he has to be here in the squad because literally we cannot get rid of every single player, and he's one of the best that we currently have. And then we have to talk with Frenkie De Jong, because Frenkie De Jong came into the prospect of joining a huge club in Barcelona and it's not going his way. But if someone is there in the team that knows exactly where we need to get back to, it's Frenkie De Jong. And last but not least, we have to talk about Lionel Messi. And even though there's been so many rumors saying that Manchester City and Inter are preparing offers to approach the player, Messi ultimately has loyalty with Barcelona, and if we do let him know the changes that we're going to be making, the steps that Barcelona are going to be taking, then he will stay with the team. So that's why I'm confident that we will see Messi for at least 2 and 3 more years at Barcelona. But we cannot say that about every single player on the squad, because here next up I've put all of the players in the first team. I've not included the youngsters. So Ansu Fati and Riqui Puig, I'm not going to be talking about them in this video because they're going to be staying here 100%. The same with Pedri and the same with Trincao and Mateo Fernandez. So, you know, all of the kids. They're staying here for good, so do not worry about them. But we're talking about the old guys here. We're talking about the players that are earning the most money in the squad. The players that actually do need to leave the club. And they're separated into 2 groups. The first group is the one that Sport and Mundo Deportivo are reporting that Barcelona are ready to terminate their contracts. That includes 10 names. And the next bunch of players are in a particular group of their own. These are players which Barcelona are ready to sell only if an offer comes. So if an offer doesn't come that looks profitable for Barcelona, then they will not depart the club. On the contrary, the other group of 10 players, if an offer doesn't arrive for them, Barcelona are gonna cut them out. They literally do not want them to stay a single more minute at the club. So the first name on the list is Gerard Piqué, and even though I already comment on how his performances on the pitch are not nearly as good, he's still a figurehead of this club and knows exactly what needs to happen. So I would tell Gerard Piqué literally, you're not going to be playing any single more minutes at the club, even though there's injuries or whatever. You need to stay at the club though as an assistant, as something. You need to be staying at the club to understand the process that we need to make, because you can help us. And that's ultimately what I want. He's a guy that is going to be destined to become Barcelona president someday in the future. Because like I already said, he has the best interest of Barcelona at heart. So keep him in the squad, not keep him as a player, but keep him in the squad. The next player is Sergio Busquets. And yeah, he's a guy that needs to leave the club and Barcelona are ready to cut him. If any offer arrives for him, he's going to be leaving, and if not, his contract is going to be terminated. We're talking about Sergio Busquets, a figurehead of what was Barcelona in the past, such a pivotal piece and component of the system that we currently play. But we have to rebuild, and he is taking so much money, and more importantly, so much minutes for midfielders that could probably do a better job nowadays. So Sergio Busquets, unfortunately, once again, I tell you, you need to leave this club. Following that, we have Nelson Semedo, and I do not know how you feel about him, but my vision has changed on what he's able to achieve at this club when we saw that performance of him against Bayern Munich. He was, by a landslide, the worst player on that pitch. He was so terrible, so awful. And this may lose him a lot of fans, a lot of support from the team. And that is why I believe it would be best of interest to get him out of the club, because he still has a good market value. If you are able to add to that Barcelona are trying to get him into a swap deal with Manchester City for Eric Garcia and João Cancelo, I believe that's a move where more and more so it looks more promising, because you're getting a young center back in Eric Garcia, which is going to be pivotal for our future, and you get a right back in João Cancelo, which is probably some way near the same level as Semedo. So he's another player that Barcelona is ready to get rid of. Another player that is absolutely no surprise that Barcelona is trying to sell is Samuel Umtiti. His injuries has literally ruined his career at Barcelona. There's no other way to saying this. And right now, we don't have the time to give him the minutes to get back to his very best. There literally is not that room for testing anymore. We need to get him out of the club and put the young players in. That beat Todibo, that beat Eric Garcia, Ronald Araujo. Someone has to be taking that job as a third center back, because he's no longer capable of doing it. Whenever we see him, he's not playing good enough. And like I said before, there's no time and space for him in this club anymore. Unfortunately, the World Cup winner is going to be departing the club, and Barcelona is being a really strict one on this one. The next player might be a surprise for some of you, for some may not, and that is Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba is not particularly the worst left back nowadays in the world. He was very good one stage, but now he just needs to give up his room, his space, his position for someone else. That's just the way that we have to say it. He may stay as a substitute, who knows, but he's been reported as one of the biggest names to get his contract terminated, one of the guys who's looking the most likely as well. And that is, it just tells you something. It tells you that he has come far a long way down, and we just need change. That is what Barcelona needs. They need change. So Jordi Alba will most probably be departing the club next year. The next player that I really want to talk about is Luis Suarez. Because Suarezito, it looks like his time is up at Barcelona. He has been getting so many offers from Qatar. There are offers from the MLS as well, and Barcelona may be looking to get them. And now they're going to be ready to tell the player that he needs to leave as well. So it just looks like the perfect moment to get rid of this player that has given us so much. Don't get me wrong, he's one of my favorite players ever. He really is. And just because he wants to leave this club right now, or he needs to, more importantly, he's not going to change that about my mind. But we need to have new players up there in the field. We've seen how he's just so sluggish on the ball, and how he just doesn't contribute as much from the pressure up top. So basically Suarez encompasses everything that this team doesn't really need right now, and that is a lack of intensity. So Suarez, bye-bye, the time has come for you to go out the door. The next bunch of players I want to go over really quickly. These are Rakitic, Braithwaite, Vidal and Rafinha. Rafinha injuries, we know what cost him, and we know that at least there's some sort of market value in him, so he will probably depart the club and Barcelona will be looking to sell, and once again they're ready to terminate his contract. Arturo Vidal, the very same thing. He has given us some stuff that Barcelona didn't really have, like that energy, that attitude, but he's not nearly good enough to just have the attitude. You need to have the attitude coupled with the actual ability to run. And then we have to talk about Rakitic and Braithwaite, which these two are mostly 100% confirmed to be leaving the club, because they have already emptied the lockers at the Camp Nou. This means that there's literally nothing of possession of them in the club anymore. All of the other players at least have their sleepers, their coats, in the locker room, but Rakitic and Braithwaite, zero. They know that their time is up at Barcelona and they will be looking for somewhere else to go. So now we have to talk about those players that Barcelona will be open to sell if a good offer arrives. And that includes Antoine Griezmann, Sergio Roberto, Ousmane Dembélé, Coutinho, and Junior Firpo. The reason for this is that the club believes that there is still some sort of market value in these 5 players, and more importantly that there are youngsters in the squad already that can take their jobs. So I wouldn't put it past it whether Barcelona could sell these players, but we just have to wait and see which clubs offers the right amount of money for us to get rid of them. So with all of that being said, now I want to know your opinions, particularly on the players that we need to get rid of. I believe Barcelona should be terminating the contract of the next following players if no offer arrives. I'm very strict on this, and these are Jordi Alba, Gerard Piqué, Sergio Busquets, Rakitic, Arturo Vidal, and Luis Suarez. These 6 names, I do not want to see them next season. So this marks the end of the very first episode of the Barcelona Rebuild series that we're going to be currently going under in this channel. There's going to be a playlist created so you can just follow everything there and subscribe for the next following video, which is going to be focusing on who should be Barcelona's next manager. See you in the next one. Take care. Ciao.